All right, okay, so from this point on, my plan is to in some way record my lectures. That is just to help some students out. Also, I'll be taking the recordings and I'll be putting them on YouTube. What I'm gonna do instead of sending you a link after every single class, what I'll do is I'll just send you a link to my YouTube channel. If you are interested in watching the videos of the recorded lectures, you can subscribe to my channel and it'll like ding you whenever I've uploaded one, okay? I think some of you are gone, so I'll mention this again. It is not my intent to record any of you guys, so that's why it's up here and not back in the back. So if for some reason I do have you come to the board, I'm automatically going to just close the lid of the laptop so that way it won't record to be black for that few minutes or whatever, and then I'll open it unless you specifically tell me, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it, okay? All right, so let's go and get started, and also one thing, since I'm recording, it won't record on the smart board because it's an electronic screen, so I'll have to use this board, which I prefer anyway, so it just means, unfortunately, I can't save the notes, but you have a video recording as the alternative, so they're almost exactly the same. Okay, all right, so we're going to talk about De Morgan's laws. This is the very end of 4.3, all right? So we're going to finish up 4.3 and do 4.4 today. All right, so this sign right here, let me get my, let me get my blue marker here. All right, so this sign right here means equivalent. It does not mean equals, which is why there's 3 lines and not 2. Equivalent is kind of how we use fractions. So 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. All right, there are things that look different, but essentially are the same thing. Okay, so that being said, what De Morgan's laws do is it basically gives you an alternative way to write things. All right, so here, if you want to negate a conjunction, you can just negate each of the statements and put an or in between. If you want to, oh, these are backwards. This is supposed to be like this. There we go. Okay, if you want to negate an or, then you negate both statements and put an and. All right, so that's all that's saying. All right, so let's look at an example here of how to use these. Okay. Use De Morgan's laws to write an equivalent statement without using parentheses. And the statement we want to rewrite is the negation of P and Q. So we want to rewrite that using De Morgan's laws. So the thing we want to look at is whether it's an and or an or. So everyone can see here, it's an and. So that means we're going to use this first De Morgan's rule. And as we can see, what we have to do is take our negation, apply it to each of our statements, and then take our and sign and make it an or sign. So this becomes not P or not Q. I just took that negation and applied it to each. And can someone tell me what is not P? It's P, yep. Not Lisa. I always want to call you Lisa. I know your name, I promise. Tanya said it is P. And that is right. So our final, in fact, let me give some more space in between. Our final answer is P or not Q. So we took something that looked actually super duper ugly and made it into something that we've done truth tables for, we've looked at several times. So that's the nice thing about De Morgan's laws. Kind of like logarithms. Did you guys ever do logarithms in Algebra 2? Okay, Most students hate them because they think they're really complicated, but really the point of logarithms is to make like arithmetic with super large numbers a lot easier. And that's kind of what the Morgan's rules do as well. All right, okay, I'm gonna write example number 2 over here underneath our rules. So the instructions are the same. We want to use the Morgan's laws in order to remove the parentheses, but this time, the statement we want to use, want to do it with is not P, or not Q. I'm going to grab some markers from the back here. All right, so Summer, what would be the first thing we do with this one? So we would distribute the negation. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to distribute our negation. So it goes to each. So we have not P. Let's see. So Lisa, what happens to our or? It becomes an and. Oh, that is a really good. There we go. Okay. And then we have not Q. So Dallas, what happens to our not P? Becomes a P. And Amanda, what happens to our not Q? Becomes Q. Very good. And you cannot see that color on video, so we're not going to use that anymore. All right. I'm going to trace over this real quick so you guys can see it in the video if you ever want to watch it. That's what this looks like. There we go. Okay. So we have went from using parentheses to no parentheses. Now we're going to go the other way. Okay? I'm going to erase this example here. All right, so use the Morgan's laws to write an equivalent statement but this time we want to do it with parentheses. And the statement we want to rewrite, not P, Q. Sit back and let you guys get that written down if you want it. All right, so we're going to go in reverse order. If you notice, with our De Morgan's laws, whenever they have parentheses in them, we always have this negation out front. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down because it always is there. We have our negation out front. But for here, we go from not P to P. So what happened to not P to get to go back to P? I have to work backwards here now. What can I do to not P in order to make it P again? Negate it again, right? If I apply a negation to this, it goes back to P like we had at the beginning. So that means I want to take this not P and apply a negation to it. And then our sign, our operator flips. Okay, so we have and it becomes an or. And here again, how do we go from not Q to Q? We negated it. Okay, so that means we're going to have not Q. So then our final answer is not P or not Q. Any questions about this before you work on one yourself?
I don't get where you got it. It's not.
So this one here?
No.
This one?
No.
Down here?
It's on the outside.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, because that is our rule. The Morgan's laws always start with a not on the outside. They have to, yes. If you're going from no parentheses to parentheses, you always have to have that not. Any other questions about these two examples? Or I guess, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys one to try and then we'll talk about it. All right, so rewrite using the Morgan's laws, the equivalent statement with parentheses. So it's the same thing we just did. Okay. And the statement I want you to rewrite is P or Q. Set back there so you can see this progression if you need it. All right, about 30 more seconds, then we'll talk about it. All right, so we're gonna start with hopefully the easiest part. So, Mariah, what does the or need to become? An and, okay. So we know, and I'm gonna write it here. We know the or is gonna become an and. If all else fails, at least change your operator, okay? All right, then, let's see, Rebecca, can you tell me another part of it? Is there any part you want? Got parentheses? Everyone in the class is like, darn, she chose mine. That's totally what I was gonna go for. All right, y'all, more slim pickings. All right, Jayden, can you tell me another part of it? There you go, and they're totally still in all the easy ones. All right, Tanya, can you tell me another part of it? Okay, are you saying like this? Okay, yep. Or you can leave them off. Parentheses are only necessary if you have two negations. But this is still correct. It's just the parentheses are over. All right, so let's see. Chance. I almost called you Chase. Chance, what about the other part? You only got one spot to choose from. You negate the Q. There you go. Good teamwork. And for those of you who chose the easy part, I'm not sure how popular you are at the moment, but I'm sure you'll get over it. Okay, any questions about how the class went from here to here? Because these are on your homework. There are some like this. Not a ton, but maybe 3 or 4.
Do the two negatives cancel?
So they don't cancel because it's this negation way up front. So the only reason this would happen is if we had 2 negations directly on the P. Any other questions? All right, okay, so that is the end of, what was that, 4.3. So now we're going to talk about 4.4 and what? We might be on 3. Did I get my numbers mixed up? Okay, well anyway, we're leaving that section and we're going to a new one. And the numbers on your homework are correct. So you should be good with that. Okay. Get this erased here. All right, so this section, let me grab a, I didn't grab, oh yes, it's right here. All right, oh, chapter 3, section 4. I was in the completely wrong chapter. All right, chapter 3, section 4 is the one we're on. And this is basically how to tell if an argument is valid and also to identify specific types of fallacies. Today, we're not going to talk about the fallacies. We're just going to focus on finding the valid arguments. My plan is then on Tuesday to talk a little bit about the fallacies. All right, so I want to go ahead and read the definitions, just a few of them, on the sheet that I gave you before we get started. An argument consists of a series of logical statements. All right, this is the mathematical definition of an argument. Okay, this is not the argument you have with your children or your significant other or your boss or your customer, okay? You cannot say this is not an argument because it's not logical steps, okay? We totally understand that that's helpful, so you're talking to other people. We are going to only talk about mathematical type arguments in this, okay? So a series of logical statements. A premise is a statement, that's a typo, but is the part of an argument used to support the conclusion. So the part where it says is a statement, just draw, like put a line to that. That shouldn't be there. All right, conclusion. A conclusion is the ending statement of an argument or what you're trying to convince them of. And we're going to stop there for this moment as far as the definitions go because I have some examples to show you. All right, so let's look at example 1. We want to identify the premise and the conclusion. There is a list of words in your book that is extremely helpful. I meant to put it on your sheet and I forgot, so I will take a screenshot of it tonight and email it to you guys. I'm going to reference it multiple times during the lecture, so you don't have it in front of you, but I'll email it to you and you'll have it for your homework and it'll make it very straightforward. Okay, so you want to identify the premise and the conclusion of this. If the owners truly cared about the game and the fans, they would lift the lockout and allow the season to begin on time while negotiations continue. This is an actual statement made by the NHLPA. I think that has something to do with not soccer, oh my gosh, hockey, but I'm not sure. All right, there we go. That's the statement we're going to analyze. All right, so basically, as you can see, whoever this executive director is, he's arguing that they should lift the lockout and allow the season to begin. And he's saying they would do this if they really cared about the game and the fans. So this is an argument I assume was made during a press conference. Sounds like something they would say to try to pressure people to do what they want. If you have a situation where it is an if-then situation. So here we have the word if. We understand that an implied then, let me try this. An implied then is right here. So a lot of times they'll leave off the then because in English it's considered redundant, but it's understood here. If you're not sure where the then should go, look for the comma. So that's a comma, it's kind of running into the S, but there's a comma there. Okay. The statement between the if and then is your premise. So this here is your premise. Right? This is what this is the part of the argument he's using to try to convince people. Like, similar to if someone said, if you really loved me, then, okay? It's using that to try to convince you to do what they want, basically. So this is the convincing part. And then, after the word then, that's the basically what they want part. And this is the conclusion. So all of this is the conclusion. Every argument can be broken into a premise and a conclusion. Okay? Conclusion is what you're aiming for. Premise is what the facts or the details you're giving to support why you should get what you want. All right, okay, so I'm going to write the next example underneath it. The sea level is rising because melting glaciers and ice sheets are adding more water to the oceans. That's our argument there. All right, so this is where the chart comes in handy. This word right here, because, anytime you see the word because, whatever follows it is the premise. All right? So remember, the premise does not always have to be at the beginning. The key is to look for words in that list, and because is one of those words. All right? So because indicates that all of this right here, this is our premise. I can pull that list up and put it on the smartboard. It would be easier if I did that. Okay, I'll take a minute here to do that then. It'll just take me a second. Did any of you guys get to go to the fair? You did? Okay. Do you guys get fun okay? Oh, you did? Okay, Tanya, thankfully. Did you say you did, Amanda?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. One of my students in pre-calc asked me if I went to the fair, and I was like, because I love the fair and I just needed to go. Those funnel cakes are amazing. the only reason. I pay my admission fee to go there, it's really to buy a funnel cake. If I paid admission, walked in, bought a funnel cake and left, I'd totally be okay with that. It'd be like a $20 funnel cake, but I don't care, because they're that good. That might be the only thing that works as a bride. I need to learn how to make them at home. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is what it looks like in the book. Let me see if I can zoom in anymore. I wish I could. Okay. All right, so this is what it looks like in the book. And as you can see where it says premise indicators, the third one down is because. So that means that I know after the word because, that's going to be my premise. And then once you find your premise, everything else is just your conclusion. Okay? So that means if this is my premise, all of this, the sea level is rising, is my conclusion. All right, so we're going to do another example of this. Now that we have that list up, that'll be hopefully easier for you guys to understand what's going on here. Can I erase this or are people still writing it? We're good? Okay. If a man is struck down by a heart attack, Americans will care for him whether or not he has insurance. These are sentence here. All right, so this sentence has an if. So we know there should be a then. Let's see. Trying to think, there's Rebecca. I don't know if I called on you, and I might have, but I'm still going to call on you again anyway. Where should my then be? Be after the comma, so right before Americans. Yeah, so our implied then is right here. So Amanda, what is our premise?
Amanda struck down.
Yep, it's the statement between the if and the then. This right here is our premise. Okay. And Jayden, so what does that mean that our conclusion is?
Everything from America's period.
You just totally don't want to read it, do you? You're like, it's too late for that. You're right, yes. That means our conclusion is all of this right here. The conclusion is Americans will care for him whether he has insurance, whether or not he has insurance. That's so funny.
Big question.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Chance, what is so funny?
I said you want to read it.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's a statement for a political science class, not for math class. All right. Okay. Let me see if there's. All right, so I'm just going to read this one to you because it's really long, and you guys can just tell me what the premise and conclusion is. Fast food obesity has strikingly increased in many countries because of the easy availability of fast food in the grocery shops, gas stations, and dispensers everywhere. Mariah, you're looking at me like, what? Could you read that again?
I know what it is, but I can't repeat it.
Okay, that's fine. So tell me, okay, so I'm going to read just a part and you tell me if it's a premise or conclusion, okay?
Okay.
All right. Fast food obesity has strikingly increased in many countries because of blah, blah, blah. So that first part.
That part's the
That would be the, say it again?
okay. Hold on, let me look one at.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that part's the conclusion.
Very good, yes. Okay, and how did you know that part was the conclusion?
Because the premise comes after the word because.
Very good, yes. So that means our premise is because of the easy, not accessibility, availability of fast food in grocery shops, gas stations, and dispensers everywhere. I think this question came from England. Because I don't know what a dispenser is. Like a vending machine, maybe? All right, okay, so this is the main idea. So on your homework, it's going to give you a statement between what we've covered in class and this list of words in your book. I'm hoping that you guys should be good to go. If you do struggle with it all, let me know. Let Ms. Gomez know, and we'll work on it some more. Okay, so now we're going to leave that behind, and we're going to talk about how to determine whether an argument is valid or invalid. And if you felt a little uncomfortable with truth tables, you're about to get some more practice, okay? Chance, that was a very awful face. All right, okay, so I'm going to do a few examples on the board, and then I am going to put you guys in groups and let you try a few on your own. Or at least in groups, and I'll come around and help you. All right, so let me show you how this works. We want to determine if the below statement is valid, not below statement.